Hello, everyone. My name is Tara, and welcome to Aligning to Love. In this channel, I aim to spread hope, joy, peace, and love to the world by sharing goodness and love within my life. In this video, I wanted to talk about my family updates, my school updates, as well as just events that have been happening this week and things that I've been getting into again. So, going back to last week, there were lots of birthdays that were happening for people in my life that are important to me. And one of them, I can't remember if I said it because it was such a busy week, but on the day of our kindergarten through second grade spring concert, it was my good friends from my hometown's birthday on May 14th. And that was a really hectic day, but I was able to send her a birthday text just saying happy birthday and I hope she has a wonderful day and that I can't wait to celebrate with her and everyone when we get the chance to be all together again. And then it was really funny because on that same day, which I don't think I put in that video, it was my student's uncle's birthday as well. And her uncle is in high school. And when he was in second grade, he was across the hall from me in the other second grade classroom. So I've known him since he was in elementary school. And now I get to have his niece. So that's really funny. And then it was also my other student's sister's birthday, and her sister just turned 1 year old. And so that was really funny that all these birthdays were all on the same day. And it was really special for me, but I think because it was such a hectic and busy week of events, I don't think I had put that in the video, but I thought it was so intriguing that I had all these birthdays on the same day with such fun events happening. And then we had the color run on Friday of last week, and that was a really exciting and fun event, but it was downpouring and it was after school during the evening. And because it was after school, I didn't get to wish my neighbor a happy birthday. She had turned 90 years old, and I was so excited for that, and I was sad that we never got to see her on that day to wish her a happy birthday. And 90 is such a big year, and I always think it's so fascinating when you know and or have people in your family that live to 90 or 100 years old, because when you think about all of the history and all of the change they must have seen throughout their lifetime, I think that's so intriguing and fascinating. And I think we can learn so much from that wisdom of being alive for that long. And I can't wait to catch up with her and get to hear more of her stories later. And we've lived next to them for 10 years, but we haven't really been able to chat much just because they were retired, and my husband and I were young in our 20s and 30s and working a lot, but also traveling a lot when we had time off, visiting family members and relatives, and also trying to get some personal time on vacation. So this summer, I think that's going to be a goal of mine, is to be able to really sit and chat with her and get to know her even more, because we hopefully, fingers crossed, will be moving in August. We also got some really sad news that yesterday, yesterday we got the news, but the day before that, on Tuesday, we found out that her husband passed away. And so that was really devastating to hear, because they've been our neighbors for 10 years, and he had been battling Alzheimer's, I believe. And it definitely was a really hard 5 years or so for them. And my heart goes out to her, and I just want to be there as much as I can for her as we have the last few months here. But so that happened on Friday. And well, the color run and her birthday happened on Friday, and then he had passed away on Tuesday. And then my talking about birthdays, my other friend, well, maybe she's more like an acquaintance now. In my mind, even if I don't see people, they're still a friend in my mind, but she could be a whole nother person because I haven't had a one-on-one conversation with her in about 10, probably 10 years or so. But she was a good friend of mine in high school. And she and the rest of our high school crew used to get together on her birthday, which was right before Memorial Day weekend. And I'm blanking on the day of her birthday, but it would have been this week. And we used to have a painting party at her house. We would all come together and bring either jeans or t-shirts that we wanted to splatter paint on. And I have no idea if she came up with that as her birthday party or how that tradition started. But we used to do that in high school every year on her birthday. And it was so much fun, and we all looked forward to it. And it was just a really great way to be together and to do something creative. So her birthday is either now or happening. And also in May, she was a past coworker of mine. She was the physical therapist at my school, but she was also my Good Beginnings mentor or helper for my daughter Juniper when she was born. And her birthday is in May as well. So those are two people that I want to reach out and say happy birthday to, because they mean a lot to me and they meant a lot to me. So those are a lot of birthdays that are celebrating people who are important. And then this past week, we on Monday when I went to school, I had a couple of coworkers who were really stressed, and for good reason. Over the weekend, there was lots of storms and torrential downpour, and there was flooding in our area. And unfortunately, their basements got flooded, and so they were trying to clean up that mess and prevent other situations in their basement from making their life more complicated. And so my heart really went out for them, and I'm like, what are you guys even doing at school? Like, I probably, if it was me, I would have tried to take the day off and deal with that personal situation. But they were so dedicated, and they still came to school, and they said that they got it under control mostly, but they'll have to do some damage control later. So I'm hoping that as the week went by for them, that did happen and that things dried out and there wasn't too much damage for their possessions, but also their homes. And one of the people that had their basement like that, I hadn't seen her, I felt, in weeks, and she surprised me, and she came down to my classroom when my kids were eating snack on Monday, and she just gave me a big hug. And that's when I found out about her basement. And it just was really nice because I've been seeing her around school, but I haven't been able to get to talk to her. And so getting a big hug from her early in the week and getting to be able to have a few seconds or minutes to catch up was really nice. And then on Tuesday, we had our kindergarten screening. But since I wasn't going to be teaching, or since I'm not going to be teaching at my school next year, I was not someone that needed to participate in it. But one of the other teachers in our school was going to be, or is going to be, going back and into the kindergarten position. And so for the day, I took over subbing for her class. And that was a really special day. And the paraprofessional who has been a new hire in my room that moved from France with his partner, who has been in helping me in my kindergarten classroom. Luckily, I was able to have him come join me in the other grade level that I was subbing for. And so we got to help out in that class. And it was really fun because I got to know some of the students better, and they were really they were really awesome. They were leaders and they were helping us know their schedule. And it was just really nice to be able to see this group of students and learn more of their names if I didn't know them already, and just see how much they shine at the end of the year, knowing all of what they knew um, from their teacher. And it was a fun day, and it was a nice change of scene, having a different class and being on a different schedule. So that was fun, and that was just for a half day, because then the other part of the day we were all in service, and we had staff meeting, and we were in other uh, meetings and different discussions for the rest of the day. And one of those discussions I felt was so interesting, because we got to tour different classrooms within our building, and we got to meet with other educators and teachers in our building that we don't really get to see. I got to see the preschool rooms, and then we got to look at first grade rooms, and we got to actually have conversations like, what's your favorite part of your room? What are you excited about the learning that's happening right now? And it was just really wonderful. The preschool had wonderful artwork about their kids, and they had these body cutouts of their kids that the kids painted and put their faces together on. And they had this whole unit of how, when you're a baby, a lot of babies they look the same, they're chubby, they have that they all if you they all have just such small bodies, and they're not quite individuals yet, because they don't have their preferences. So if they are all the same skin tone, they may look the same. If you have kids with different skin tones, then you may not look the same. But the whole concept was about how, when you're born, you're just starting to be the human being that you are. But then as you learn and grow, you get your own preferences, and you become more opinionated, and you're learning, and you're becoming this little human being. And it was such a fascinating and so clever unit that they created with their classes, and I just loved it. And then in first grade had been hatching baby chickens, I believe. And so we got to see their live chickens that were in their classroom, and that was really special. And so I really enjoyed Tuesday. It was a lot of new things that I was experiencing within the same school that I've been at for 10 years. So that was always exciting. And it's always nice to be able to have those conversations with other teachers and see what other classrooms are learning about. And I just love having those connections with everyone. And then Wednesday was a really big day, because I had to make sub plans on Tuesday, so I wasn't home until 6 o'clock on Tuesday night, trying to get my sub plans together, trying to clean up the room, and also trying to organize my room, because I really only have a month and a half, less than that, of school left. And so I know that that's going to come up fast, and I want to try to get ahead of the game before the school year's out. So Tuesday, and that's when we found out that our neighbor had passed away. So I had left early Tuesday morning, because I knew I was subbing, and then I wasn't back late until Tuesday night. And so Tuesday was such a blur. But then on Wednesday, I had taken the day off from school, because my husband had his interview in the town that I grew up in for a position over there, and it was his second interview, so it was really exciting. And it was in person, where the other one that I had talked about was online. And so that was a really exciting day, and it was really fun, because I got to spend the whole work day with my daughter, which I haven't been able to do since the summer in August, before I started teaching. So that was a really special day. And my husband came back. He said the interview went really well. He just has to hear from the human resource person. And so fingers crossed, we get some communication from them before this weekend. We also were able to get out for a walk with our daughter, but it was so funny. All the other walks that we've been doing in the last 2 weeks have been like 60 to 70, almost 75 degrees of the temperature. And this past walk that we did, we had to have my daughter dressed in leggings and a warm shirt, and we had a fleece jacket on her because it was chilly. It was like 20 degrees colder than it had been the last week or so. And I was in a fleece too, but it was nice to get out for the walk, even though it was a dreary and cold day. We needed the fresh air, and my husband definitely needed to get his jitters out after the interview. And so there's just so much that has been going on. My husband was able to go to the post office. There's been so many things that I feel like have been hurdles in our life that we just haven't been able to manage. Our postal box has been blocked for the last week and a half or so, and we've been calling the post office, but we're never home when they send the person over to deliver mail in our area. And so luckily they've been holding on to our mail at the post office. But since my husband and I were both home, he was able, and it was not 5 o'clock at night, we were able to go to the post office, and he had talked to somebody, and apparently there was a bill that we had to pay in order to fix our box and get it unclogged, or whatever happened with the key part that you push it in and you twist because it's not letting our key twist. So hopefully we paid the bill for that, and hopefully that will be fixed very soon. And yeah, there's just a lot of odds and ends that we've been trying to manage and solve, and hopefully everything will just come together nicely, and we won't have those things on our mind that are stressing for us. And so there's just been so much happening in the last month, but so much packed in the last 2 weeks. Tonight, if I'm organized, there is a concert at our school, and this concert is for the 3rd through 5th grade. And I'd really love to go to that because today they have their dress rehearsal, but my students have specials with their art teacher at that time, and I'm also in a meeting with other colleagues at that time, so I don't think I'm going to get to see the dress rehearsal. But so I'm hoping I'll get to go to the concert later tonight, and I can bring my husband and my daughter, and then get to see some colleagues also watching it. That's if the weather is really nice, because our concert last week was outside, so I'm not sure if they're having the older kids concert outside, but if it is, I'd like to go if it's sunny out. And hopefully if it's not sunny, they would put it in the gym, but that's going to be a lot of extra work for our music teacher. And our music teacher has been going a mile a minute, 1,000 miles a minute between last week's concert for the younger kids, this week's concert for the older kids. And she's also doing one-on-one music lessons with different instruments with all these families on the side of that. And she's also part of another play going on that she's helping with that. So I honestly don't know how she's been functioning the last month, but once this concert's over and her piano and other instrument concerts, not dress rehearsals, their recitals are completed this weekend, hopefully she'll get a breath to catch for herself and to rest and relax as well. So there's just, the month of May is insanely busy for families, for educators. There's just so much packed in at school on this month trying to get ready before the end of the year. And throughout all of that, mostly yesterday when my daughter was still sleeping and my husband was traveling for the interview, I got back into something that I had been given as a gift from my husband's best friend's partner 3 to 4 years ago. And it's medicine cards, and this is all about Native American stories of animals and the symbolic and spiritual meaning that they all have. And this book is all about the stories, the Native American stories of these animals, and then these cards, and they're a lot like oracle cards. And I'm someone who always appreciates and enjoys nature, and I really try to do what I can to recycle, reuse, and clean up the environment when I can. And so I really love these cards, and I love a lot of Native American stories and wisdom and their life lessons. And so these are some of the cards. There's porcupine, there's the wild boar, and then so they have all these different animals. There's the whale. Whales are my favorite animal. And so I had just been reading some of the stories, and I thought it was really interesting because in Sonia Choquette's book, or Sonia, I think I mispronounced her name a lot, but I believe it's Sonia. She talks about the archangels, and there's 9 archangels that she talks about in her book. And I thought it was really fascinating that in this, they talk about, and this is the revised and expanded edition, and it's by Jamie Sams and David Carson, and it's illustrated by Angela Wernicke. I'm not sure how I pronounce that name. But I was really interested in the fact that in this story, there's not the stories, but sorry, just a second. Let me get myself situated. So there's 9 totem animals. So if you do totem reading, it goes like this, and you select cards and you put them in that order, and there's east, south, west, north, above, below, and within. And it's very similar to the archangels because there's 9 totem animals and there's 9 archangels, and they all have different directions that they face. And this is what I mean about spirituality and about different religions and different cultures and their beliefs. There's so many overlapping areas that are similar, and I find it so intriguing and fascinating. And I'm always curious to learn more about different cultures and their beliefs. And the one thing that I thought was really fascinating in the introduction in this information about the medicine cards is that they call life the great mystery, and they say that you should be constantly curious, constantly learning, and that if you're not, then the magic and the wisdom and the knowledge doesn't continue. And I've always loved that mindset, but to hear it in this this book and the cards and their culture of their history, I just was, it just made me so happy. And so if you're interested in oracle cards, this one more focuses on the medicine cards and the Native American cultures. And this is what the deck looks like. And this is Medicine Cards, Revised Expanded Edition, The Discovery of Power Through the Ways of Animals. And so this is what it looks like. And so recently I had just been pulling some of these for different situations in my life. And so one of them was the bear. And so I'll just read one little story about the bear, and then I'll finish up this video. So when I pulled the bear, they have different pictures and different poems that go with them. And the bear says, "Bear, invite me into the cave where silence surrounds the answers you gave." And so it says, "The strength of the bear medicine is the power of introspection. It lies in the west on the great medicine wheel of life. Bear seeks honey or the sweetness of truth within the hollow of an old tree. In the winter, when the ice queen reigns and the face of death is upon the earth, Bear enters the womb cave to hibernate and to digest the year's experience. It is said that our goals reside in the West also. To accomplish the goals and dreams that we carry, the art of introspection is necessary. To become like Bear and enter the safety of the womb-like cave, we must attune ourselves to the energy of the eternal Mother Earth and receive nourishment from the placenta of the Great Void. The Great Void is a place where all solutions and answers live in harmony with the questions that fill our realities. If we choose to believe that there are many questions to life, we must also believe that the answers to these questions reside within each of us. And each and every being has the capacity to quiet the mind, enter the silence, and know. Many tribes have called this space of inner knowing the Dream Lodge, where the death of the illusion of physical reality overlays the expansiveness of eternity. It is in the Dream Lodge that our ancestors sit in the council and advise us regarding alternative pathways that lead us to our goals. And this is the power of the bear. The female receptive energy that for centuries have allowed visionaries, mystics, and shamans to have prophecies is contained in this very special bear energy. In India, the cave symbolizes the cave of Brahma. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. Brahma's cave is considered to be the pineal gland that sits in the center of the 4 lobes of the brain. If one were to imagine an overview of the head, the top would be a circle and the south would be the forehead. The north would be the back of the skull, and the west would be the right brain, and the east the left brain. Bear is in the west, the intuitive side, the right brain. To hibernate, bear travels to the cave, which is the center of the 4 lobes, where the pineal gland resides. In the cave, bear seeks answers while he or she is dreaming or hibernating. Bear is then reborn in the spring, like opening of spring flowers. For eons, seekers of the dream time and the visions have walked the path of silence, calming the internal chatter and reaching the place of rites of passage, the channel or the pineal gland from the cave of the bear. When you find the pathway to the Dream Lodge and the other levels of imagination, you will find consciousness. In choosing bear, the power of knowing has invited you to enter the silence and become acquainted with the Dream Lodge, so that your goals may become concrete realities. This is the strength of the bear. And so I just think it's really fascinating. So at different moments, I've been pulling different cards and seeing what wisdom they have in the stories that I can take from. And it's just something fun. Even if you do not believe in all of that, it's just really creative, and it allows your brain to look at things through other angles and different perspectives, which I think is always helpful for everyone. So I just wanted to share that, and I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of your day. I love you all. Take care, and I hope to see you in the next video.